Chapter 4. When I woke up Friday morning, I felt pretty damn accomplished. My weekend was here. I wasn't hungover. I had the slightest taste of weed on my morning breath as I drank my coffee, which was magical. A crisp breeze was blowing kisses at me through my living room window as I sipped and pondered. Life was good. On my way home from Gino's last night after my bomb, I got hit up by Tom Rollins, the owner of Striker's Bar in Waterton, where we usually did the Friday night open mic. Tom was hitting me up because he had a touring headliner set to perform on his 9 o'clock Thursday show, but as fate would have it, his headliner's two openers that travel with him had gotten some crazy flu thing where, let's just say, they had it coming out of both ends uncontrollably. So Tom asked me if I was free to do one of those 10-minute opener spots. He said it paid $100 and all my drinks would be comped for the evening. I agreed to this and hurried over. I loved the Striker's Bar Friday mic because there's usually a good crowd of people there who weren't comedians, which gave me a good read on new jokes I was working on. It also was the spot where I got to congregate with my band of comedy brothers, Alex Feldman, Sam Cohen, and Tim Rosenbaum, on a weekly basis. The four of us always did Striker's mic, unless we had other shows or something. Tom genuinely seemed to enjoy me and my comedy brothers' raunchy brand of humor, and we were always treated like VIPs when we went there for the mic. What made this show even better was Tom had messaged Feldman to perform on the other opening spot and had gotten Rosenbaum to host, so it was a madhouse. The show went great. We all crushed. The headliner absolutely murdered. And then we all hung out afterward at Striker's and drank until 3 a.m. Tito made an appearance at Striker's around 2 and joined us for the party. I asked him why he wasn't at Gino's earlier. He told me that he and Sam had gotten a lead on some good coke they couldn't pass up. Made sense. He seemed pretty coked out when he arrived at Striker's. I asked where Sam was, and Tito told me he was off making it with one of the girls at the trap house they got the coke from. I just laughed and shook my head in disbelief at what I was hearing. Tito and Sam were a couple of real wild men. A couple of guys like that were good for the comedy scene of Telarus. They gave it a certain grit. All that to say, I was feeling pretty damn accomplished. I felt like I was living the life of a rock star. I worked out around noon. I had plans to meet up with my dear friend Bree Horowitz around 2 o'clock at this lunch spot not far from my apartment. I figured I'd probably just walk there. Bree was a platonic friend. The funny thing was, the fact that we should be dating seemed to be what made us such good friends. I mean, like on paper we should be dating. She's a very attractive Sefairian girl, my type, around my age, similar life interests, the whole nine. But for whatever reason, she has always just been this annoying little sister in my eyes, and I've always been her older brother who she loved to tease. And that's just how it's always been between us, and neither of us wanted it to be anything more or anything less. I hadn't seen Bree in 5 months, which for us was a lifetime. We met at acting conservatory 8 years ago. At that time, we were both bright-eyed, bushy-tailed actors who'd just moved to the big city from our little hometowns just outside Telarus. We were both in our mid-20s now and had secretly given up on our movie star dreams to get real jobs. Neither of us had the heart to admit it, though. My case was a little different. I may have given up on my movie star dreams, in a sense, but it was not to get a real job. I can't speak for Bree, but for myself personally, at some point along the way, a few years back, I had something of an epiphany. I suddenly realized the futility of trying to be famous. It was a forever fleeting, ultimately trivial pursuit that didn't actually mean anything. If you're not building a fan base on something stronger than a passing trend or streaming series, you can disappear in the blink of an eye. And I refuse to trade artistic integrity for temporary popularity. So yes, I had given up on the movie star dreams I once had as a 20-year-old, because what I was trying to build in this game was much more substantial and took a little bit more time. From what I could tell, based on our last couple of hangouts, acting had become more of a hobby for Bree these days. The corporate world had begun to really swallow her up. She'd always try to make it sound like she was still at it like she once was, that she was waiting for certain things to fall into place before she was really going to hit the ground running. She was always in the process of getting new headshots, finding someone to edit her demo reel, and watching seminars from casting directors telling her to take these classes or pay for these workshops. It was always bullshit. Bree would say things like, "My job is a drag. My dream is to act in movies. Yeah, I'm still getting after it. I go to auditions a few times a week. It's just tricky because of work. I read plays. I'm always reading plays." The thing I've noticed about a lot of people in my world who once had dreams of being movie stars is they will never admit that they've given up on it completely. Maybe they will at some point, and I'm just not old enough yet to observe my 40-year-old actor friends quit acting for good to get a real job. I don't say that from a place of judgment. I get it. Being a broke, struggling actor sucks. As I was approaching the lunch spot Bree and I agreed to meet at, I saw a crowd of people gathered. I suspected a ruckus. I saw Bree standing amongst the crowd. "Hey, Bree," I said as I joined her side. "James, hey." She turned and hugged me. "What's going on?" I asked. Before Bree could answer, I had already started to put together what I was looking at. It was 4 Sefairian men with their chests pushed against the side of a building with their hands cuffed behind their backs. These men were being arrested by 2 VR police officers. "I'm not sure what's going on," Bree said. "I got here 5 minutes ago, but those guys being arrested are observant Sefairian radicals. I think they're Cohenists. They were out here preaching or protesting or something." "Oh yeah?" I said. One of the men being arrested was saying something out loud for everyone to hear. "What is he saying?" Bree asked me. The man was speaking Sefairian. Even though Bree was Sefairian, like a lot of girls, she couldn't speak it or hardly even read it. Since being occupied by the Valencian Republic for the past couple hundred years, Sefairian was no longer the main language spoken in Sefairia. All the public schools were given a VR-approved curriculum taught proudly and exclusively in English. With this being the case, girls usually were never as good at speaking, reading, or writing in Sefairian. It was only ever taught officially to young boys going through yeshiva who were on the fast track to becoming chief priests and rabbis. If girls spoke it at all, it was because they came from super religious households with super religious dads who went hard in the paint. So much so that everyone in that household spoke it over English, like my own father did for our family. My older sister, for example, was a product of this. My mom too. As a matter of fact, all the women in my family were really good at speaking Sefairian. All that to say, it seemed like, with every passing generation, both guys and girls became more and more removed from our people's culture and traditions than the previous. I listened closely to the man speaking Sefairian so I could answer Bree's question. As I listened, I began to whisper the translation over to Bree in real time. "The author is the one true creator of the universe," I began. "Sefairian people, we must fight for our creator and not let the history of our people be swallowed up by this oppressive nation. He will bring a fiery vengeance on those who opposed him and those who turned away from the one who brought them out of slavery." "Shut up!" one of the VR officers shouted. "I don't understand what you're saying. Don't speak in code." The man continued. I whispered the translation over to Bree. "I do not fear men. I fear the author, my creator who will deliver me from my enemies." "I said shut your damn mouth. Don't you hear me?" The man continued. Before I could begin translating for Bree again, the officer whacked this Sefairian man in the back of the head with his elbow, knocking him unconscious. The crowd, including myself and Bree, gasped in shock, but continued watching with morbid curiosity. "Come on, people, the show is over," the other officer said. "Clear out! Clear out!" We did. The officers began loading the men up in their police wagon. Bree and I were rattled by the whole thing, but not rattled enough to cancel our plans. I escorted Bree to our table, arm in arm like a gentleman. That was the first time I'd witnessed that in person. I've been hearing in the news lately that tensions between the VR and radical, observant Sefairian groups were rising. It was one of those things that you hear about on the news, but you kind of think it's bull until you see it for yourself. A lot of these groups were trying to rally other observant and secular Sefairians to join them in their efforts to regain our country back. I feel like I'm speaking on behalf of most Sefairians, secular and observant, when I say nobody wants that, and it's frustrating because the VR can't really tell the difference between radical, regular observant, and secular Sefairians, and so anytime I see something about it on the news, or as of today, in real life, it annoys me because it puts normal Sefairian people in danger. Religious morons. Bree and I discussed this very thing for a few minutes. She was in agreement with everything I had to say about it. Soon I'd said all either of us would have wanted to say on this topic, and we moved on. "So how have you been, James?" Bree asked me after our waitress took our order. I took a moment to think about what all has even happened in the past 5 months since I last saw her. Too much to summarize. "Good," I said. "You know, just chillin'. I just got back from the West Coast doing some shows out there, so that was cool." I smiled at her. "Oh yeah, that's right. I saw you posted about that. How was that?" I bet it was so fun. "Yeah, it was a good time. I can't complain." "Look at you, famous boy. Any shows tonight?" "Yeah, actually I do. Just one." "Awesome." We'll see. It'll be at an improv comedy joint in front of an improv comedy crowd, so we'll see how that goes." "What do you mean?" Let's just say improv comedy crowds are a little different than stand-up comedy crowds. It's like a genre thing, right? Like genres of music, there are jazz music people, and there are country music people. She made a cute, skeptical face at me. What are you talking about, Chatfeld? Look, this may be too in the weeds, but if you want me to tell you, I'm going to give you some real insider baseball right now, Bree, so listen up. Lay it on me. There's a silent war in the comedy community that few people on the outside know about that is reflected in both the performers and the audience members of each camp. A war, you say? She said, being silly. Yeah, I chuckled. Does the VR know? It's actually quite a bit of nuanced snobbery on both sides as far as I could tell. The war is this. To stand-up comedians, improv comedians are fucking dorks. A bunch of wannabe actors looking to be on TV and write from the comfort of their expensive lofts downtown, using any live stage performing just as a way to promote their new movie or series. To improv comedians, stand-ups are conceited assholes, narcissists, self-important sociopaths who think we are so interesting and have our fingers on the pulse of society, that we stand-ups think we are the purists who actually care about the craft of comedy and treat it like blue-collar work rather than a springboard to get famous. So where that leaves us ultimately, those who are in these respective communities, is at this awful open mic comedy intersection with each other where everybody thinks they have the right of way and no one wants to let anyone in. Bree made a face at me. It seems like you've thought way too much about this. She giggled at me. Yeah, whatever. I knew you wouldn't get it. What about you? Tell me something, kid. Bree gave me the full scoop. All the current updates. Bree had a new guy she was seeing, Greg. She recently got a promotion at her job. It sounded like she was tiptoeing around 6 figures. I should know this by now, but for the life of me, I could not tell you what Bree did for a living. She must have explained her jobs like 20 times, and all I could do was maybe ballpark it. But if I was being honest, I really didn't know what anyone did, especially in the corporate world. White-collar work was a mystery to me. It was very abstract. That's usually how I gauged how adult someone's job was. It was usually based on my ability to understand what it was they were saying to me. This is what I gathered about Bree's job after over a year of having her explain it to me. I work in the benefits department, teamed with HR, yada yada yada. A go-between with clients and recruiters, something something something. I also connect investors with distributors. Really, it's about building relationships with global companies, some other stuff, equity or something, staff augmentation. Never mind. Sorry I even fucking asked. It's not her fault, it's mine. She clearly makes good money and could afford a nice outfit to wear to our lunch and even offered to pay for both of our meals without batting an eye. I, on the other hand, was still a boy in a lot of ways who didn't know how anything worked, why anything worked, or how the world operated as successfully as it did. That's why I'm an open mic comedian, a few steps below a child's party clown. So are there any ladies in your life right now? Bree asked. I felt myself blushing for some reason. Oh, no, not really. Bree raised her eyebrow at me. Not really? What does that mean? That sounds cryptic and vague. What do you mean? I'm just saying no, there are no women in my life right now. You telling me all the shows you're doing, you don't have any little groupies following you around yet? No girls sliding into those DMs? Any girls you're talking to at the moment? I chuckled. Not yet. No groupies, unfortunately. What about at the shop? Any cute customers you've noticed blowing through their punch cards every time James Chatfeld is working up front? I laughed at the thought. Nope. Coworkers? What is this, an interrogation? Aha! I think I struck a nerve. Bree, knock it off. Who's the coworker? There is no coworker, okay? I said. There was silence. Bree didn't say anything. She just stared at me with those razor-sharp green eyes, holding them to my throat. I finally broke the silence. Look, we did get this new girl at the shop, but it's whatever. Also, even if there was anything there, I'm pretty sure she's observant. What does that have to do with anything? What are you talking about? You're Sefairian. You know how observant Sefairians are. You want to hear something funny? What? Greg is observant. Really? I was intrigued. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I didn't know this when I met him, but it's kind of great. He's so sweet, such a gentleman, old-fashioned, but not too much. It's nice. He doesn't mind that I'm not practicing. I go to church with him and everything. He keeps telling me he wants to make an honest woman out of me. Bree let out a laugh as if to say, many have tried, young man, and many have failed. Bree could be a real trip sometimes. So you guys aren't having sex, or what? I asked. Bree made a little face. Let's just say, Mama's working on it, and I'm wearing them down. Oh, are you? I chuckled. Well, that's great news, Bree. I'm happy for you. So this new girl, what's her name? Is she cute? I rolled my eyes. It was no use fighting Bree at this point. The easiest way forward was to just answer her questions and play her little game. Her name is Emily, I said. Uh-huh. Bree nodded along, motioning me to answer her second question. And I mean, all things being relative, yeah, sure, she's a cute girl. But I'm telling you, there's nothing there. Okay, Bree said, pretending like she was dropping it. She was so annoying when she did that. She'd press you like whatever she was just pestering you about was the most important thing in the world, and then suddenly just drop it. Bree paid for our lunch, and we made promises to not let so long go by without chatting again. I told her for sure, with no real ideas on how to do that. As annoying as she could be, I did love me some Bree time. She really was like a sister to me in a lot of ways, and I'm proud of her. I'm proud of her even if she never steps on stage and acts another line of script again. I hope she rises to the tippy-most top of her corporate thing, whatever the hell it is she does for a job. All the staff augmentation to her heart's content.